Capitol Hill was rocked yesterday by the arrest of a former House Speaker and his former Chief of Staff on federal corruption charges.
The question is, how strong is the case against Glenn Cassida and Cade Cothran? News Channel 5 Chief Investigative Reporter Phil Williams knows the players better than anyone else in town.
And Phil, you've been taking a close look at the physical evidence.
I have, and I've also been talking to a veteran attorney who knows a lot about these kinds of corruption cases. That attorney says these men are in deep trouble. To begin with, he suggests just looking at how their arrest played out right before the public's eyes.
You owe Tennesseans an apology.
For former House Speaker Glenn Cassida, there wasn't the courtesy of being allowed to quietly surrender to federal authorities. Instead, he and his former Chief of Staff Cade Cothran were arrested at their homes, placed into handcuffs and leg chains, and hauled before a federal judge. All of that an intentional decision by prosecutors.
Well, that would suggest either some disagreement with the defense attorney or that they want to make a point.
Trying to get their attention.
That's right.
A veteran attorney who's prosecuted and defended public corruption cases says the indictment in the USA versus Cassida and Cothran appears to be as rock solid as they come.
I have always believed that every case has a weakness. You just have to find it. I haven't seen all the discovery that will be produced to defense counsel. From a legal standpoint, there are few weaknesses in this case.
Gary Blackburn says much of the case appears to be built upon evidence recovered during raids of legislative offices, along with raids of the defendants' homes, including messages recovered from their iPhones.
The strength of this case is that it's all on paper. You have admissions made through emails and text messages. You have the bank accounts set up, so you have that paper trail.
The indictment alleges that after Cassida's downfall as House Speaker in 2019, Cothran set up a company called Phoenix Solutions to do political mailings. It was incorporated in New Mexico under the fictitious name of a Matthew Phoenix. Cassida, who remained in the legislature, and then Representative Robin Smith agreed to steer state business to the company in exchange for bribes and kickbacks. As we previously revealed, they then supplied the state with this tax form allegedly signed by Matthew Phoenix. According to the indictment, Cothran texted Cassida, "Just remember you have zero connection to it and don't even know that much, other than they've done work for you and are very good." Cassida replied, "I like the message."
Without objections, order.
The group also wanted to get the mailing business of the House Republican caucus, but the caucus had a rule against paying its own people. Cassida, since the caucus won't spend money on members' companies and we want no one knowing you're Phoenix, how do we get around that to doing caucus mail? Cothran, no one needs to know whose company it is. Cassida, I just hope they don't ask the representatives from Phoenix to come and make his case to do caucus mail. Cothran, they live in New Mexico. We'll have to get on the phone for it, and I could disguise my voice if I have to.
The phrase scheme or artifice to defraud springs into life when you read those words.
It's pretty clear.
It's pretty clear, yes.
Ms. Smith, any comment at all?
On top of that, Smith has already pleaded guilty and would be expected to testify against her former colleagues.
I would put it this way. A conviction rate is in the high 90s. This one is in the highest category of conviction rates. My assessment of this is, if these were my clients, I would tell them to make preparations to go away.
Preparations to go away to federal prison. The two men each face up to 20 years behind bars. It's ironic that Cassida and Cothran, who were caught up in a texting scandal that we exposed that forced Cassida to give up his speakership, they could potentially end up in federal prison thanks in part to these new sets of text messages. Vicki?
All right, Phil. Our Investigates team is committed to keeping the powerful accountable. We have in-depth, comprehensive coverage of this story online right now, including a timeline of the events that led up to the arrests. That's on our website, newschannel5.com.